Hello, so this is the things that I've learned as a new actor in nearly my first year of acting. So I have my other two parts. I'll link down below. This video would have been like 8 hours long. I'm joking about 8 hours. But if I didn't do it in parts, yeah. So sorry if you hate when people do parts, but and I know no one's gonna watch an 8-hour video, 3-hour, 4-hour video. Alright, so the next topic is auditions. So there are several forms of auditions. I've done Zoom, self-tape, and I only did one in-person audition. I've done more self-tape auditions than anything else though. Self-tape is whenever you record an audition at home using your own equipment, and then you send it off to the casting directors. And Zoom audition is like this. You're on camera with someone in a Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and you're doing your audition live on the computer. And in person, that's when you go in person and audition. Most people, they prefer in-person auditions. They say it's a lot easier, but you do have to travel to those, and that's gas money. And gas is expensive. But the equipment you have to get, just be prepared to do self-tapes. Just be prepared to do all kinds of auditions. But self-tape auditions, you have to pay for equipment. I use a tripod. I'm not the fanciest as I'm new. I'll probably end up getting equipment though too, because I also do YouTube now. I'm in my third month of YouTube. But I use my phone here. I have an iPhone SE. You want to film it like this, horizontally. And then your tripod is going to hold it in the center, and you want your, basically, kind of, yeah, that's here. So this is kind of what you want, like this up. There's videos online about it. I can't really explain it while I'm seated. And the self-tapes, you don't want a busy background like this. That will be a distraction. You want a background that is solid. So any wall. I use a wall in my room for my auditions. I've also seen plenty of actors. Finn Wolfhard. I forgot his name. The young actor from Percy Jackson, the Disney series. I've seen his auditions. Look like they were. I know Finn from Stranger Things was using a laptop, so you can do that too. Millie Bobby Brown was using a laptop too. Emma Stone for her, I think it was Easy A audition. She used a laptop too. That was probably 2010, but you can use your laptop as well. I use my phone and do that. Just be mindful of storage, and sometimes you can't send in stuff that are too large of a file on email, so you'll have to use it. You have to use Dropbox or something like that. So as I mentioned, I'm about 3, 4, 11. I've booked 3 out of the 11 roles I've been on. 11 auditions I've had, so not the best numbers. But like I said, most of the times, it's not always your fault. Just remember that when you get rejected. Because rejections do happen, and they will happen, even to the best of them. Think of any famous actor you can think of. They've probably dealt with hundreds of rejections and thousands of auditions. So I find my auditions and casting calls on Facebook acting groups and other social media platforms. What I've been doing lately is I'll look up casting directors of shows I like, and they have social media accounts, and you can follow them, and sometimes they'll post casting calls. Find casting directors, there's plenty of accounts where they're doing casting calls, and there's agencies that have casting calls and casting directors. Facebook acting groups, they post casting calls. Just look up those. And I'll drop a link to some resources down below. I don't know every single one, but I follow a lot of Facebook acting groups, and they post frequently, but most of the time it's not a casting call. So if you're using social media to find acting work, you'll have to broaden where you're trying to look at and what you're trying to apply to, because you're more likely to find more gigs if you do things out of state than within your state, because it's just one area instead of 50 different states or countries too. Self-tapes are kind of the new normal. If you do want to have a decent self-tape, you have to get some equipment. You just do. And you need to learn a little bit of editing skills as well. You can get the iMovie app. There's a YouTuber, he did a video on how to do iMovie, edit your self-tapes on iMovie, or you can use Premiere Pro, but that you have to pay for that. And you don't have to be like an extreme editor. I use Premiere Pro for my YouTube, but I also am starting to use it for auditions too. But mainly I use my phone for auditions and iMovie to edit. So. And if you don't want the issue like I've come across where you run out of storage, you can probably get a video camera. There might be some that are maybe in the hundreds. Some people have $1,000 cameras they use. If you want to put that much money into it, you go right ahead. But I mean, phone cameras work just as well for people who don't want to pay that much money for a camera. And like I said, if you don't want to buy a camera or you run out of storage, you can film on your laptop if you have a laptop. Like I said, there's some pretty famous actors who have used laptops for an audition and they booked it. But you do need it to be decent quality so that they can see you and see your acting. But auditions are a part of the game, just like rejection is. So become a good auditioner. I'm still new to everything, so the biggest audition I've had was an 8-pager, which is a lot. It took me 3 days to do 8 pages because I'm not that good at memorizing. It's a skill that you have to learn. So if you're a new actor, I'd say get started on memorizing things. Just memorize anything and everything. Like this. Well, that's not a good example. But just try to memorize anything and everything so your brain can pick that up and you can become better at it, which is what I'm going to try to do. Because memorizing is my least favorite part of it all. It makes everything so so painful. But yeah, they say become a good auditioner. So the 8-page audition took me 2 to 3 days, and I memorized 2 pages every single day. Well, 3 pages every day, pretty much. Or wait, I think it was 3 pages. I don't know. Do the math for me. I forgot it even. Just know it took me quite a bit of time. And this was on social media. The casting call is for a Disney show. And that's going to be on Disney Plus. Is a movie going to be on Disney Plus? I don't think I can mention it, but I mean, it's an open casting call. Anybody can audition, but that doesn't mean they're going to see it. And I was on Instagram where I saw the casting call, and I was looking at the comments to see if anyone else auditioned too. And the casting call had just dropped like a day prior, and someone said, "I've already submitted." And I was looking, and I was like, "They've already submitted it. I'm only on my day 1 out of 3 days." And I just found myself going like, I wish I was better at memorizing, because this would have went by so fast, but I'm not, so if anyone else struggles, yes. And also don't compare yourself to others either. I know we can all fall into that trap. I do. So just go at your own pace, but make sure to get your audition in before the deadline, and don't wait until like 30 minutes before it closes, because you're more than likely going to run into issues, especially when you're doing everything at home on your own, like a self-tape. So everything now is pretty much, you can do it all at your own house. There's not many in-person auditions anymore. There still are some, but most of the time people are doing it via Zoom or self-tape. That's why I said you might want to upgrade your equipment. Although a simple phone will do the trick. And you have to have a reader in these as well. A reader is someone else who's going to be there with you to run the lines that you don't speak. So the different characters' lines, your reader's going to do that for you. And then whenever your turn comes up, that's when you say your line. Then your reader says the other person's line. It's like that. And the thing about having a reader is they always say you need to have a reader. And it can't be your own voice. But if you run into a struggle, you can use voice memos and record every other line except your own and do that. But the timing of it has to be perfect. The thing is, though, if you do need a reader, most of the time, most people don't want to sit there with you to help you with your audition. So you can get some people who can willingly help you. My mom helps me with my auditions. So maybe you can get your parent, your friend. Your friend can be on a phone call with you, and you send them over the script, and you can tell them what to do. And you can be there with your friend while you do your audition. Maybe even your neighbor if you're close like that. You can find anybody to help you. But after a few takes, they're probably going to want to go. So I'd say you better just be really good and get it all done as best as you can, because some people don't want to be there all day while you repeat the same lines 50 times. It's easier when you're on your own and you're doing things that don't require a reader. So another audition, I recently had to do one. It wasn't the most, but it was definitely something new that I never did before, where I had to do a lot of like movement. Because this character, I didn't get the role, but this character was essentially like one of those influencers with like a camera in the woods, and they were live streaming on their phone. So I had to act like I was live streaming and do different things like that, and I had to eat and stuff, and it was like that. So what I learned is that acting isn't just memorizing your lines and, being done. You have to memorize movements and motions and other people's lines for your cue line, which is what someone else's line before you have to say yours. And so the movement, I had to do all those things, and I was like, oh, this is like another thing you have to memorize too. So if you just thought it was your lines and that was it, no, you have to memorize movements as well. But sometimes you'll do rehearsals where you can go over those things, but I never had rehearsals on any set I've been on. So it's just something you have to prepare when you're at home doing your preparation. And even for auditions too. And I've seen some people, they're saying some of this stuff is way too much. You just have to decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do and make that decision. But I've seen some people saying they had to do a full-on fight scene and they were essentially by themselves, just and they have to choreograph this fight scene in the audition. So there's things like that. It can get a little bit, a lot of movements you have to memorize, like punch the wall here, look to the left, look to your left, punch the other person, things like that. And that's what you have to memorize and on top of your lines. So just be wary of that if that ever comes up, because it will. Whenever you see people in movies, they're like grabbing some chapstick and they're putting it on, drinking out of a water bottle. That was all in the script for the most part, unless they're improvising. Another thing is improvisation, ad-libbing. Some actors are really good at it, some actors aren't. And some casting or some directors don't mind if you go off script and ad-lib or improv, and some hate it. So you just have to either know who you're working with and know what you can and can't do. Some people, I wouldn't suggest doing this in an audition, but if you're on set, maybe you can. I don't do that. So I'm like, let me do this to a T. If you say, turn around here, I'm turning around here. I'm not going to turn around and say this. I'm just going to turn around and... You just want to do what they tell you to do. Yeah. Now, there are some people, they'll let you have some little freedom. I think that's it for the audition topic. Next topic is connections. So, Connections, 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 connections. That is all that I hear. You know what they say? It's not what you know, it's who you know. And this is definitely, it's definitely real. It's definitely something that you need to have in this industry. Might be, some people say it's the most important thing and skill you need to have in the industry. Now, I don't have any connections. Nope. So, I'm going to have to build my connections. Now, and even in other industries too, not even just film and TV or film industry, other job industries, you have to have connections too. So, this is for those who are doing other jobs outside of acting or just anything else with acting. You need connections for those jobs as well. I saw this casting director, I forgot her name, but she was talking about how don't think of it as networking or making connections, think of it as making friends, building friendships. And I think that was such a good way of putting it, because when you say connections, you're like, but when you say making friends, you're kind of like, okay, making friends is a lot lighter term. It's easier to think about what you need to do. Now, when you make friends, how do you go about that? Because when you're thinking about making connections, you might move a little differently than if you were just trying to make a friend. And I'll say this about it. No one wants to be around someone who only wants something from them. You know, you don't want someone just trying to befriend you or talk to you to try to leech off of you and get their questions answered, because that'll just be a one-sided thing, and you don't want a one-sided friendship. So it'll have to be something where it's beneficial for both of you or all of you, because I know if I wouldn't want someone who's only trying to be around me just for what I have. That's not that me personally. I'm like, Although I'm nice and I would help someone like I'm helping people now, I just don't think you would want a friend who is only there to take what you have, or to get what you got, or to know things that you know. And if you are trying to be like, hey, answer my questions, let me get your resources, they're gonna spot that quickly, and they're definitely not gonna talk to you anymore. Maybe they will, but I know that they probably don't want to talk to you anymore, because they're just like, alright, this person, they're not even trying to talk to me, they don't want to get to know me, they just want to get to what I got. You know, I'm not speaking from experience, I'm just saying hypothetically what I'm thinking is like, that's definitely what that probably is going to be like. So think about it as making friends. Don't lead with, hey, can you help me? You know, lead with, hey, my name is, I don't know, whatever people do to make friends. I definitely need to get my connections up, my friends up, if you will. And I struggle with that. This is a skill, so skills you need, or you need to get good at memorizing. You need to get good at self-taping and auditioning. You need to get good at talking to different people. And I struggle with that. And, because I'm kind of introverted, shy person, and you kind of have to talk to people, you have to get out of your shell and go up to them and talk to them. And I need to work on talking to everybody, not just the other actors. Because when you're talking to only actors, you're missing out on talking to the people who are actually putting the whole thing together, the whole production together, working on the production. So try to talk to the director, try to talk to the assistant, the grip, the people working with lighting, even the people doing craft services. Because more likely than not, especially in a smaller setting, and even your fellow actors, because more likely than not, these people don't just do these jobs, they do other jobs too. Some of them probably are actors as well. So you never know. And even some of your actors that you're working with, your co-stars, some of them might be directors as well. Or some of them might be future directors. So you never know who you're talking to or what they might become or what they already are, Some people struggle with talking to other people. I know I do. So I'm just saying that we should get better at that. If you do struggle, I should get better at that. And also talking to directors and people behind the camera, different things like that. It can also help you learn how to be a better actor. The camera crew the ones holding the camera, they know which angle they want you to be positioned at, so they can tell the story through the lens. And different camera angles can help with different perspectives. As an actor, if you know, alright, I need to be here to portray this type of thing, like a different dynamic, you can be like, alright, I'm gonna stand here, or I know how to face different things. Like, you know what I'm trying to say. It'll just help you be a better actor if you know everything that goes on within a film set and all the terms and all the ways of doing things other than just being an actor. Also might help you to talk to other people, learn a few things behind the scenes, because one day you might be like, I want to direct. Well, instead of starting from square zero, you talk to those other people, now you know a little bit about directing, and you can have your foot in the door, right? Just different things like that. Alright, so making friends is key. Friends, connections, networking is key. I'll tell you a little story of a famous actress, Ayo Edebiri. I told you I go crazy and I watch a bunch of interviews. I look up things about actors and listen, read stories. Just do your research on any and everything, because it definitely helps you. Like I've seen, and I know, is you need to just go out there and do it. You can't just be on Wikipedia searching up stuff and not do anything. So you gotta do it too, as well as your research. But Ayo Edebiri, one of my favorite actresses, as I mentioned earlier. Ayo Edebiri was on an Apple TV show called Dickinson, which is starring Haley Steinfeld. So Dickinson, I watched every single season of that show. I love that show, but I didn't recognize Ayo Edebiri was on there because she wasn't a big name then. This was maybe 2019. She was playing one of the maids, maybe, in the house. I don't remember what they called it. Also, another actor, I forgot her name, but she played Regina Haywood in East New York on CBS. That show got canceled, but I love that show too. She was also a maid in Dickinson, but Ayo Edebiri, she was in Dickinson, and I don't know, she was acting in it. I don't know if she was writing, but I think she was just acting in it. I forgot if he was working with camera, if he was a director, or I don't remember what he was, but he remembered Ayo Edebiri, and years later, maybe like 2 years later, he calls Ayo Edebiri, because he remembered her from Dickinson, and calls her in to audition for a role on The Bear. You see where I'm going right now? You get what I'm putting down. So if you don't know, The Bear is a Hulu TV show, and it's won Emmys. I think it's won Oscars. It's one of the biggest TV shows right now, and they're about to drop a new season. And Ayo Edebiri essentially got this role from her connection that she made years ago on Dickinson. That's what I mean. Connections are key. And now we know Ayo Edebiri. She's a huge name now. You could say simply from that connection, although she was doing stuff in between all this, and that connection is what helped her become the big name she is today. Her role in The Bear did too. So you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Connections are key. Things like that. There's plenty of stories like this as well, but that's one of the ones that stuck with me, Ayo Edebiri's story, and I thought that was really cool. So even connections you make like 5 years ago could help you in 10 years from now. I know that's a long time, that's 15 years, but that's what I mean, people you talk to, you don't know who you're talking to. You could be talking to someone who works at HBO. You could be talking to someone who works at Netflix, and that's why I say, let people know what you do. Just don't talk about it too much, but let them know you're passionate, let them know what you do, because you don't know who you're talking to out in these streets. You could be like, oh, this is just a random stranger, I'm not going to talk to them. You could be talking to the head of Disney. And they could see that and be like, alright, let me let you audition for this role. So connections are key, and a lot of actors that we know now, the famous ones, the non-famous ones, they got the roles that they got from their connections. So those are key. And that's why I'm like, I need to get better at it. I think we all can get better at making connections and talking to people. Just in life in general, not just pertaining to acting. So going back to being too afraid to act. when I was 14. So I knew I wanted to act at 14, but I never actually did anything about it because I was so terrified of acting. It's still a bit terrifying, but I know I can do it now. Acting is pretty scary, but with most things, you don't know until you go. So you just gotta get out there and try. And I'm talking to myself as well as anyone else. And this pertains to anything in life. You don't know it until you go. So just do things, That's why I started YouTube as well, because I was like, you know what? Let me just do this. And we're at 5 subscribers. 5 subscribers. Okay, so another one of my favorite actors here is Florence Pugh. So I saw an interview with Florence Pugh, or some story pertaining to Florence, and this was when she was younger, and she saw an open casting call for this BBC show, and so she told her mom about it, and she was like, I don't know if I want to do this, I don't really know, and her mom was like, you want to be an actor, right? You better go do that. She didn't say it like that, I don't think, but it was something like, you want to be an actor, you better go do it. Come on, you're not going to be an actor if you don't do this. So Florence, she actually ended up auditioning for the role, and she did get it for this big BBC show. And it also featured or starred an actor from Game of Thrones. I forgot her name, but it was school. I don't remember. They were like in school. Something school-based for the UK TV show, but in that role, Florence actually won an award for that show. That's sort of how she got her start. That's what I mean by you don't know until you go. And now Florence Pugh is this huge name right now, and one of my favorites. Also, I'll talk about Joe Locke from Heartstopper on Netflix. Joseph Locke, so I don't really know his backstory, but I do know this. Netflix put out an open casting call. Heartstopper put out an open casting call for Heartstopper, and Joe, he saw it, and he wasn't really going to do it at first. But then he said, why not? Why not? I'm not quoting him, I'm just saying, he was like, fine, I'll do it. And now, he booked one of his first ever roles, probably his first ever role, on a Netflix hit series, which comes out with season 3 this October. And now he's in Marvel and Broadway. I mean, my goodness, that is luck right there. A lot of people there, I want to have that kind of luck too. I see all kinds of stories about open casting calls and people finding those, and now they're in Netflix shows, HBO shows. They're one of the new biggest young names in Hollywood, different things like that. I think we would all love that, but that's not realistic, by the way. That is like 1 in a billion. So don't hang your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up thinking that you're gonna stumble upon an open casting call and gonna be the biggest name in Hollywood. Still apply. I'd say still audition for those, but just know that's not gonna happen more than likely. But maybe it will. I mean, Joe Locke didn't think it was going to be possible. What's her name? Miss Marvel, I think. Yeah, Miss Marvel. I forgot her name, but she didn't think it would be possible. Never Have I Ever didn't think it would be possible. That actress, those were all open casting call roles as well. But the thing with open casting calls for these big TV shows and stuff, usually it's very niche. I'm talking about Kit Connor. I said he's one of my favorite actors. And so this is the saying I always say. It takes one big role. One big role. Now, that big role can be 2 years into your career. It can be 15 years into your career, 10 years into your career, 30 years into your career. But that one big role is the role that's going to transform your acting career. And a lot of actors, you can think about what's one role that they did that they did other things before that, but you saw them doing that one big role, and now you're seeing them everywhere. I think, like I said, Jacob Elordi, his one big role might have been Kissing Booth, and definitely was Euphoria. Joe Locke's big role was Heartstopper, and it happened to be one of his first roles ever. So there's the thing with that. Now going back to Kit Connor, since I'm talking about Heartstopper, I read his discography, what all he has done, and I saw some interviews, and I was watching interviews that he was talking about. He was a child actor, so and they're child actors too. A lot of actors have been acting since they were younger, so that gives them more time to break in to the industry at such a young age. That's why you're seeing 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds breaking into the industry, and you're like, I'm nearly that age. Why am I not there? Because they've been acting since they were 5. And even if you've been acting since you were 5 and you're like 25 and you're like, I haven't broken in yet, what's going on? You might break in at 26 or 30. But anyway, so Kit Connor was a child actor, and he had did quite a few roles. He actually, so I read an interview. I just do a lot of research. I'm not being, weird or anything. But he did an interview where he was talking and he said he got this role on some kind of Christmas movie, and he went to a premiere for a movie he did, and he sat next to this, I think, casting director, and he just talked with the casting director. He was like 9 or something. And the casting director ended up getting him an audition for another role he did. So that's what I mean by connection. But anyway, so Kit Connor has been a child actor, and then he was working for 10 years before he got Heartstopper. And so the thing is, Kit Connor did Rocket Man. He played a young Elton John. And you would have thought that would have been his one big role. It was not. Not saying he wasn't successful before or after. I'm just saying that you would have think that would have blown him up into like a huge name. But that wasn't the role that did it. It was actually Heartstopper. And Heartstopper, if you don't know, he auditioned for Joe Locke's role. I forgot that. I'm forgetting that. But he auditioned for Joe Locke's role before they said, oh, no, you're not right for that one. Let's audition you for Nick. And so now he's Nick Nelson. So you go in and there's a lot of lessons to be learned within Kit Connor's story, Kit Connor's life too, but acting career too. So the second lesson is, but the second lesson to learn from that is, you may think that one role is gonna like take you to new heights in your acting career, and it might not. You may be like, oh, I booked a Netflix show. Oh, I booked a HBO show. Oh, I booked a Disney, Hulu. You may think those are roles, or you said, oh, I booked a local theater gig. You're like, this is going to take me to new heights. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. And like I said, you would have thought Kit Connor would have, because that movie was everywhere, all over the country, all over the whole entire world. And you would have thought that would have taken his name to new heights, but it didn't. He had to wait a few more years. And Heartstopper is the role, essentially, of a lifetime for him. So, what I'm trying to say is that you may think something is the role of a lifetime for you, but it's not. I hope I'm not just yapping. Are you getting what I'm putting down? You understand what I'm saying? I hope so. Also, connections are huge. You need connections. Sometimes we think that something's gonna kickstart our careers, but it might not. It might be a few years later before you can get to that point where you're a huge name. Not saying that being an actor, the goal is to be a huge name. Because if you're just in it to be a huge name, they always say, get out. Because trying to be a huge name, that's like 1 in a million in itself. These people, they have different paths, different things to get to where they are, but it's always so different and unique. So you never know there's no one set path for success or stardom. And another thing also to be learned from Kit Connor is, you may go in for one role, but they might pick you for another role. And you can audition and that might work out for you. So next topic is Nepo babies or nepotism babies, or kids whose parents are in the film industry. So this is essentially, nepotism kids are kids of famous parents, and their parents most likely gave them resources and connections and essentially gave them one foot in the door. A lot of people don't like Nepo babies, but I'm saying they can't really control that. And me personally, I'm not speaking for everybody, but me personally, I would love those connections and one foot in the door. I think we all would in life in general. That's just me though. Don't quote, you can say, oh, Arya wants to be a Nepo baby. I'm fine where I'm at, but I'm just saying if that was a possibility, you won't see me crying. I won't complain. But sure, you can have feelings about people who can get those one foot in the door rather than other people who struggle to even get a 16th of the connections that person has. Like I said, I don't have any sort of connections. I don't have a foot in the door. I'm starting at square -2. I'm starting at square 0. No one in my family putting this out here on the record in case someone calls me a Nepo baby. But I don't have anybody in my family who is within the film industry or anything close to the film industry. No one knows about acting in my family. So I'm essentially the first one in my family to try to pursue this type of career. And that is a bit scary that I don't know or don't have those connections, because it would be nice to know what I'm getting into and different things, but that's why I'm doing as much research as I can on my own. And I do have my parents and my family to help me too. They just don't know anything about the industry either, so we're all learning together. And that's what I mean by having, your group of people with you. Because when you don't have that group of people, you're just on your own. And being on your own isn't always the best. And like I said, if you don't have family, it can be friends, someone that you trust, people that you trust, or your friends, connection friends, or your actual friends. And your connection should be your actual friends, but yeah. So starting at square 0 like many actors do. Now, there are some really good books out there from actors who started at square 0, like Viola Davis and the one lady from The Office. Let me get the books. I had bought these books. Alright, so these two books, these are books from fairly, famous actors. They are famous actors. And I got these books from the library at first, and then I liked them so much, so I bought them. These books, I'll also list them in my resources Word document that I'll make later on, and I'll link that in the description. I don't have many resources, but I just want to help everybody, But, so these aren't Nepo babies. These are, if you want to use the term, these are actors who started from square 0, and they talk about that in their books. So I think these are really good resources if you're a new actor or just actor in general and you want to know. This book is one of the best books you can get. Jenna Fischer, she's from The Office. So The Actor's Life, A Survival Guide by Jenna Fischer. This book she has pictures and stuff in it. Yeah. How to get an agent, and this is her resume. You need or a CVC as they call it in outside of America, I think. Yeah, you need a resume. My resume is kind of small right now. I'm trying to build my credits right now, my gigs. But if you don't get anything else, get this book. Get this book. Get this book. Alright, I'm done singing. Obviously, I'm not trying to be a singer. What? That'll be crazy. But, The Actor's Life right there. Free promo for Jenna. It's a good book, I think. Yeah. And this book is by one of the favorite actors. Jenna's my favorite too. Now, because this book, yeah, my favorite. She just talks about her life and how she started acting and how she was very naive about acting when she first started. And how she was humbled by it. It took her, I think she said, 8 years to break in. It took her 8 years to get her audition for The Office and book The Office job. So sometimes, I told you, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And in the words of NF, the rapper NF, you keep on thinking that artist is new, but that artist has probably been at it for years. It sums it up pretty well. I know a lot of times we always see someone rise to stardom out of nowhere, and we automatically want to assume them to be a Nepo baby or some kind of industry plant, which isn't the case for most people. They just kind of blew up out of nowhere because that's just how it goes. Sometimes you just blow up out of nowhere. But most of the time, they've been acting for years or singing for years. And this next book is by one of my favorite actors, Viola Davis. Viola Davis, Finding Me. So I have a little bookmark there. But that book is about Viola Davis's journey to becoming the actress she is today, and it talks about her early life and her struggles and her family struggles and how she found out she wanted to be an actor. And then all the steps she took to be an actor, and now we know her as Oscar winner Viola Davis and EGOT Viola Davis. So she got her final achievement to achieve EGOT status with this book, by the way. But I suggest to get these two books. Definitely this one. If you don't want to get the Viola Davis book, get this one. I think it says it was $17.95 here. I think I got it for $15 on Amazon or something like that. And this book, you just want to highlight it up, take some notes. Very good resources here. And I haven't gotten too far in this book, but it's it's an interesting read. Viola book. But I'll put those in the bio as well. I'm sure no one's probably going to watch this video, but if it does get quite a few views, let me know. Or if you just find it entertaining, no matter the view count. Not entertaining, insightful. If you find this insightful, let me know below. And also, as I am new, if you're an experienced actor, talk to me. Let me know in the comments things that I missed that you want to let other people know. And me too, because I do need some help with that and knowing things. I'm very much out of the know, but I know more than I did a year ago. I don't mean to rhyme. Okay, so this is already becoming an hour long, but I'm just going to talk about this really quickly. So, as I said, I do research, and I look up some actors that I like, and I like to see on Wikipedia or any other resource I can, and I like to see how they got to where they are. Because you kind of want to know what they do before they got this role, you know. I'll just say this. This might get me in trouble or whatever. But, I'll say this. So, when I do look up these actors and I scroll and find that they have parents in the industry, I get kind of like that. Because that means they had someone helping them. And I'm like, no, I have nobody helping me. But that's good for them. They had someone helping them who already knew about the industry, you know. A lot of people, like I said, I'll look up these actors, and the ones I looked up so far, about 60% of them they always say parents with highlighted names, blue highlighted names that you can go to. And we'll just say this, not every single person with famous parents got the help from their parents, you know. I know we like to think that everybody got their foot in the door, but some parents don't help their kids. And that's one, you know. And that's, I don't know, but we can't beat up on everybody just because they have parents within the industry, you know what I mean? We just gotta do what we gotta do and try to get to where they are, or try to be successful, you know, on our own with what we got. Anyways, I'm on a different topic now. I don't know what to call this one, but as I saw on Reddit, so I go on Reddit always has some useful information just for a variety of things. But I go on this Reddit group called r/acting. And you can go on there, and basically they have a bunch of answers to your questions. Any question you have, they'll have the answer to it. And you can post something on there, and if you have a question that was answered, or you don't want to look for it, they'll answer it for you there. It's a huge group of people, like over 200,000 people are in that group. And that's where I get a lot of my resources from, that group as well. So if you want to go there, you can do that. But I saw something on there, and it was an actor. He was like, okay, I'll say, I'm Asian and I'm from Australia. I don't think I'll make it in the industry. And I'm like, there's plenty of Australian actors you can follow, and I'm sure I'm thinking of one Asian Australian actor too. But I'm like, you can make your own path, and you should make your own path and be unique. But if you do want to follow someone who looks like you, is from the same location, different things like that, I'm sure there's an actor out there that you can look up and see what they did, and you can follow them. Like, if you're Australian, you can see what Jacob Elordi did, what Margot Robbie did. You can look up what the Hemsworth brothers did. There's plenty of Australian actors. If from the UK, you can look up what Bella Ramsey did. If you're younger, even if you're older too, you can look up that. You can look up American. Look up where they went. So just anywhere really. And I'm saying this, like, don't follow their path, because their path is unique to them. And you're not going to break into any industry if you just follow someone else's path, because that path, like I keep saying, was unique to them. And it's probably not going to work for you, because you're you and they're them. I'll say, if you're an Australian actor, you can see what theater programs or what path Jacob Elordi did, or Margot Robbie, whatever. And you can see, alright, they went to this theater, alright, I'm going to go to that theater and see what I can do at that theater and that type of situation. But I'm saying, don't follow their path to a T. Like I said, they graduated from this university, don't go to that university, unless it's like one you want to go to or something. I'm just saying, don't follow them to a T. Do your own thing. But this is getting to an hour, so I'll do part 4. I'll probably be back and do part 4, but because I have a few more topics left, I'm just laying it all out there today. Don't be discouraged. I'm talking to myself and you. Don't be discouraged. What works for you will work for you, and whatever you do, keep on keeping on. I should be an inspirational speaker. That was very inspiring, wasn't it? Alright, see you.